Okay, welcome to a deep dive into something really fascinating happening right now in the pharmaceutical world.
Yes, we're looking at a report here, LLMJ49, on Big Pharma's strategic re-engagement with RNA interference therapeutics.
Right, RNAi. And our mission today is really to unpack this source for you. We want to understand why these big companies are suddenly pouring huge amounts of money back into RNAi.
And how they're doing it, what the strategies look like.
Exactly, and where they're focusing their efforts now. Think of this as, well, your quick guide to getting informed on this pretty complex but definitely resurgent area.
It's quite a story. A technology that, faced massive hurdles, was almost abandoned by many, and now it's making this remarkable comeback.
So let's start there. Let's rewind a bit. The report mentions a tumultuous period for RNAi back in the early 2010s. What was actually going on then?
Well, that was a time when several really big names, Roche, Novartis, Merck, Pfizer, Abbott, they significantly scaled back.
Or just exited completely, right?
Exactly. Selling off assets they'd previously invested heavily in.
And it wasn't trivial amounts either. The report points out Merck, for instance. They bought Cerna Therapeutics in 2006 for, what, $1.1 billion?
A huge bet back then.
But then, by 2014, they sold those RNAi assets to Alnylam for just $175 million.
That's a massive write-off. It really underscores the scale of the problems they were facing.
So what were those core problems? Why the cold feet?
It really boiled down to fundamental technical barriers. The absolute biggest one was effective and, crucially, cell-specific delivery.
Meaning getting the drug into the right part of the body.
Precisely. Getting the RNAi molecule into the target cell safely without it getting chewed up by enzymes on the way or causing problems elsewhere. That was incredibly difficult.
And there were safety issues, too, weren't there, in early trials?
Yes. Serious safety concerns emerged, including, unfortunately, some patient deaths in early studies. That obviously casts a long shadow.
Understandably. So those hurdles made people doubt if RNAi could ever be broadly useful as a medicine.
Exactly. The theory, the gene silencing mechanism, was elegant, but translating it into safe, effective therapies just seemed, well, maybe too challenging at the time.
Okay, so that was the low point. But now the report calls it a phoenix-like resurgence, picking up steam since around 2019. What flipped the script?
Technology. It really comes down to significant technological breakthroughs.
Ah.
There have been improvements in actually making and purifying the RNA molecules themselves, making them better, more stable.
But the key was delivery, wasn't it? Overcoming that core problem.
That's the one. The development of sophisticated delivery systems is the game changer. These new methods finally crack the code on targeting and degradation.
So better packaging and addressing, essentially.
You could put it that way, yes. Combine that with simpler manufacturing for the RNA molecules, and, very importantly, you start seeing regulatory approvals. Drugs like inclisiran getting the green light really validates the whole approach.
So overcoming that delivery bottleneck wasn't just incremental. It fundamentally changed RNAi's potential.
Absolutely. It unlocked everything. The potential was always there, theoretically, but delivery proficiency made it practically achievable.
Okay, so Big Pharma is back in. How are they engaging now? What does their involvement look like this time around?
It's a mix. Some in-house R&D, sure. But the dominant approach, very clearly, is through strategic collaborations and pretty significant acquisitions.
Buying up smaller companies with the tech.
Buying companies or licensing their platforms and drugs, yes.
Yeah.
And the report shows a distinct pattern. The vast majority of these deals are what it calls major programs.
And major programs means big money.
Correct. Valued at $50 million or more, often much, much more in total potential value. You see far fewer small collaborations, and those tend to be more about evaluating tech platforms early on.
So the scale of these deals suggests a different mindset compared to the early days.
Definitely. It signals a shift from, let's say, cautious exploration to calculated long-term strategic bets. They're putting down serious money, hundreds of millions, up front in many cases, with billions potentially on the back end.
So real confidence in the technology now.
A high degree of confidence that RNAi is a maturing platform ready to deliver major therapies. They're not just dipping toes anymore, they're diving in.
Okay, let's get specific. The report gives some great examples. Novartis, for instance.
Novartis is a prime example of re-entry through big acquisitions. They bought the medicines company for nearly $10 billion, mainly for inclisiran, that approved cholesterol drug.
So they bought an on-market success.
Exactly. Instant market presence in RNAi, But then they also bought DTX Pharma for $1 billion.
And that was different, right? Not an approved drug.
No, that was for DTX's Falcon platform. The key there is it's designed to deliver RNAi beyond the liver, into the nervous system.
Ah, tackling those harder-to-reach tissues.
Right. They're targeting specific neurological diseases like CMT1A, but also looking at ALS, Alzheimer's. It shows they're betting not just on current tech, but on pushing the boundaries of delivery.
Takeda also had a big deal with Arrowhead for fazirsiran.
Yes, for ATLD, a rare genetic liver disease. $300 million upfront, over $1 billion in potential value. That underscores RNAi's strength in genetic disorders, especially liver-targeted ones where delivery is more established.
AbbVie, another huge one, just recently with ADARX Pharmaceuticals.
Huge. $335 million upfront, potential for several billion more. And look at the targets. Neurological, immune diseases, even cancer.
And they specifically mentioned ADARX's claim about brain delivery.
They did. Again, highlighting that push beyond the liver into challenging areas.
Roche is back, too, after leaving in 2010 a big collab with Alnylam.
Yes, for zilebesiran targeting hypertension, high blood pressure.
A very common condition.
Exactly. A $310 million upfront payment shows their renewed confidence, and targeting hypertension is a major strategic move towards large patient populations, leveraging Alnylam's expertise.
GSK seems to be doing a few different things.
A multifaceted approach, yeah. A smaller deal on vaccine tech shows versatility. But then, much bigger therapeutic plays. $120 million up front with Arrowhead for a NARIS drug.
That's fatty liver disease, right? Very common.
Very common. And they also acquired rights to a hepatitis B drug from Janssen, potentially worth up to $1.6 billion. So targeting prevalent liver conditions and also consolidating assets.
And even newer players getting in, like Boehringer Ingelheim with Rebo.
Over $2 billion potential deal value there. Also targeting NASH/MASH. It shows the field is still attracting major new commitments focused on these high-impact liver targets.
And the report mentions others, too. Amgen, AstraZeneca, Biogen, Eli Lilly, all making significant moves, often focused on specific delivery capabilities or therapeutic areas like cardiovascular or CNS.
It's widespread. Amgen on cardiovascular risk, AstraZeneca looking beyond the liver, Biogen and CNS, Lilly using AI discovery and in-house work, too.
So the pattern seems really clear. External innovation is key. Partnering or buying seems to be the main strategy.
Overwhelmingly, yes. It's faster, likely less risky than building from scratch internally. They're accessing cutting-edge platforms and pipelines developed by these specialized biotechs.
Okay, so we see who's involved and how. Where are they aiming this technology? What therapeutic areas are hottest right now?
Well, the scope is really broadened out thanks to that better delivery tech. Rare genetic disorders are still important.
And it's moving into bigger areas now.
Absolutely. Cardiovascular disease is a huge focus.
Like with inclisiran and zilebesiran.
Exactly. Targeting high cholesterol, hypertension, also going after specific genetic risk factors like LPA. They're competing in massive existing markets.
And neurological disorders, we mentioned Novartis, AbbVie, Biogen pushing there. That seems like a major shift.
It is. Targeting the brain and nervous system was always the holy grail for many drug delivery platforms. The fact that they're actively pursuing CMT1A, ALS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's shows real confidence that new delivery systems might actually get there. It's a key frontier.
Liver disease is still strong, though, in NASH, Hep B, and the precision of RNAi still makes it great for rare genetic disorders.
Still perfectly suited. Hemophilia, AATLD, PH conditions caused by specific gene issues remain a core strength.
And we even saw mentions of oncology and that GSK vaccine tech example. It's becoming quite versatile.
It is. The move into prevalent diseases and tough areas like CNS really signals RNAi is maturing, moving well beyond its initial niche applications.
Okay, let's circle back to what really feels like the central theme here. Delivery technology. It sounds like that wasn't just a factor, but the factor enabling this whole resurgence.
It was the primary catalyst. You can't overstate it. That inability to get the RNAi molecule where it needed to go, safely and effectively, that's why companies walked away before.
Right.
Without solving delivery, the elegant gene silencing mechanism was, for many potential uses, stuck in the lab.
But now these new platforms, Galaxy, Falcon, Arrowhead systems, they're cracking it.
They represent major advancements, yes. Enabling more precise, more potent delivery, and crucially, systemic delivery to tissues outside the liver.
Like the brain, heart, kidney.
Exactly. That's why you see specific goals in these deals targeting those organs. Pfizer explicitly focusing on extrahepatic tissue targeting tells you everything.
So delivery isn't just helping, it's driving the whole expansion. It's the main frontier.
It's arguably the central innovation frontier right now for RNA. Better delivery unlocks more diseases, more targets, and makes these programs commercially viable. The next big breakthroughs in RNAi will likely hinge on the next generation of delivery tech.
And all this renewed activity and confidence, it's showing up in market forecasts?
Oh yes, the report cites pretty robust growth projections. The market was around $1.2 billion in 2023, expected to reach over $6.5 billion by 2034. That's a compound annual growth rate of over 16%.
That's very healthy growth projected for the next decade.
It is, and it's fueled by all the things we've discussed.
Yeah.
The R&D investment, the demand for new therapies, those critical delivery improvements, and a more supportive regulatory path as more drugs get approved.
And those strategic alliances, the big deals, are a key part of driving that growth.
Absolutely critical. The scale of these major programs demonstrates that. For Big Pharma, partnering with or acquiring the specialists, the Alnylam's, Arrowhead's Discernis, is the fastest, most efficient way to get access to the best platforms and pipelines.
Rather than trying to reinvent the wheel internally.
That seems to be the dominant logic, yes. Accelerate entry, de-risk development by leveraging proven expertise. External innovation is definitely the name of the game here.
Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive into this report, RNAi has gone through this incredible arc from skepticism and companies leaving to massive reinvestment and excitement.
Driven fundamentally by those breakthroughs in delivery technology that solved the core historical problem.
And Big Pharma is placing major bets, mainly through large-scale collaborations and acquisitions, buying that crucial delivery know-how.
And as a result, the targets are expanding dramatically from rare diseases into huge chronic conditions and into challenging areas like the brain and nervous system.
Showing the platform's growing power and versatility, the market looks set for significant growth. With these external partnerships leading the charge, it really is quite the turnaround.
A remarkable transformation, truly.
So here's something to think about as you process all this. Given how central delivery tech has been to this story and the huge investments being made now, what's next? What currently undruggable tissue or disease target might be unlocked by the next wave of delivery innovation for RNAi? Where could this technology go from here?